Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interviewed Jill Schultz. Jill is a serial entrepreneur, industry disruptor, author, motivational speaker and business strategist. Finally, after years of praying for her purpose, she finally realised her life work is to release people from shame and change the lens through which people see how children who have been sexually abused innocently and curiously experiment with other children. Jill brings this taboo topic out of the shadows so that people can overcome their shame and live the life of their dreams. You're going to love this interview. Jill has such an inspirational story. She's really passionate about what she does, and I know you're just going to love her. Hi, Jill. It is great to have you on the show.
Anna, I feel like you are one of my fast friends already. It's so nice to meet you.
I know, we were like gossiping before we clicked record. Like, we need to get all this on. We're just like, hit it up. No, but it's great to have you on the show. I know I can see like daylight in your background and it's like dark here and with the time zone, but it's great to have you from San Diego on my podcast.
Thank you.
So
I honor you. I was saying earlier, I honor you because you're doing this at 10 o'clock at night and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. So I honor you for this being important enough for you to, be unreasonable with your time. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that I gave you, you understand sort of what the podcast is about. It's really about, sharing our stories. And I know you've got such a powerful story to share with us, and also details of your new book launch that's and when is it happening? It's happening soon, isn't it?
I'm doing pre-book sales right now. So it's summertime. It will be released in the summer. Yeah.
Brilliant. Great stuff. And like, as you know, I'm a domestic violence survivor and a proud one, as we were just saying. And with this podcast being called the Freedom Podcast, I had like a little bit of trouble naming this podcast because every time you say the word freedom, I have like visions of maybe like someone like Grant Cardone actually saying freedom in 90 days, and I kept toying with this kind of like marketing feel, but all the time I kept coming back to it because within my journey, I really did feel this sense of freedom. And I talk about my 3 pillars, which is freedom in love, which is really all about self-care and self-love, really, and the love that we give out to the world. Freedom in money, because financial freedom is important, because of the lifestyle part of it, and also freedom in mind, which actually the word mind is a bit bland. Mindset or mind encompasses so much more for me, but those 3 things, when one of them was imbalanced, like when I wasn't taking care of myself and I was being a mum, looking after the boys and, the
surviving
was out of sync. And then, at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey where the cash flow wasn't great, again, the seesaw was out of sync. And then mindset isn't just about being positive all the time. It's just being able to, I'm confident that whatever happens to me in the future, yes, I will go through that period of maybe grief or kind of shock of whatever has happened. I now know that I've got the toolbox to be able to kind of decompress it and deal with it. And that's the thing about mindset, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
So I was going to say, can you relate to any of those?
Oh my gosh. All of those. I wrote them down because they're important. All 3 of those are in my, exactly what I've gone through and what I am leaning into in my journey. So that's beautiful. It's perfect for our conversation.
Yeah. So tell us then, because I really, as I was saying, I put this podcast together to really share our stories, because I think it helps other people who could be struggling right now, going through something. And being able to relate to it. So,
well, I want to start by saying, as you and I were chatting before, I'm like, we need to be recording this because this is juicy stuff.
Yeah.
We tell our stories now and it's like, oh my God, this happened to me, blah, blah. Like, it's no big deal. And it's because we've talked about it over and over and over again, and it no longer has power over us. Because even 3 weeks ago, I was telling my story and I was like, sobbing, like deep soul sobbing about what happened to me. But the reason that I get to do this, the reason that I love to do this is to let people know that they get to be free. And I love that you said freedom, because that's one of the things that I feel like I get to help people get free from the dark cloud of whatever's hanging over their head. And for me, I was molested when I was 3 or 4 years old. I don't really remember. I don't remember who did it. I don't remember any of that. But what held me back for 41 years, like I had this dark cloud of shame over my head for 41 years, was that I was the little girl who innocently and curiously experimented with other children because of what somebody taught me to do.
Right.
And I was just so ashamed for so long. And I thought I was the only person that ever did that. It took until my journey through getting through this. I did landmark education. I don't know if you know landmark education.
Yeah.
I've done 2 different therapists. I did hardcore leadership. That's my most recent deep self improvement work that I've been doing, is through this hardcore leadership and PhD program. And it took till I was 41 years old. The second therapist that I went to see, because I was suffering from bulimia at 41 years old. That was something I'm like, you got to get this in check, which is, a symptom of sexual abuse. He said to me, he said, Jill, who do you know that's 12 years old? Because it was in between 7 and 12 when I was acting out with other kids.
Yeah.
And I thought of my niece, and he said, do you think she reasons like an adult? Do you think she thinks like an adult? Do you think she acts like an adult? And that was the first time that I finally had this moment of relief, like, oh my God, I was a little kid. I've been carrying this shame like I was an adult. And I was just a little kid when all of this happened. It was like this, bomb that went off in my head. So my purpose and, drive in life now is, if you're me, if you were that little kid, or even if you have a secret, everybody has secrets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about them, get them out, because that's what's holding you back, and you're not alone. Once you get out there and talk about it, you realize that.
And the thing is, like you say, as children, we follow adults or older children, don't we?
Yeah.
And as in, that's our leadership. So, like hanging, I mean, I can totally understand why you hung on to that, for so long, but I can see, to me, it seems quite simple that a child would do those things if that has happened to them,
Yeah.
So I feel really proud of you for like talking openly about it. I think it's brilliant, because I think it's important too, especially like the healing part of it. Because I think a lot of why I spoke out about it, people go, oh my God, you're helping all these other people by talking about it. But I think actually I was helping myself, because when you talk about it, it's like you're normalizing it within yourself. You know what I mean? You're like you say, unashamed of, holding on to these things, because it's healing talking about it, I think.
Well, what's the saying? We're only as sick as our secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy, isn't it, how we hold on to these things for so long as well? Like we get to a certain point, it's like, why don't we just carry on without? There's always a point where we have like a sort of wake up where we think, right, now is the time to really sort of deal with it. And actually, like, God, we could have done it before, we think about that all the time. But I suppose you mature into it where you're like, actually, I'm ready to do it now, or something else happens in your life, 'cause I remember feeling like my life was perfect. I remember saying this to my mum, saying, my life is so perfect, and all my friends have all these different things. Like my friend went through an abortion, and my other friend had some, her mother had passed away, and I was like, God, I've had nothing that happened to me. And it seemed like 12 months after I made that statement, my life started to nosedive. I was like, damn, I should have touched wood when I said that. Why did I jinx myself? But it felt like I was always trying to find my purpose, because I'm quite grateful for the stuff that I went through, not the horrible stuff, but I feel like I'm a much better person now. Like, I don't know, I can't explain it in words, really.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you swear on the show. Do you swear?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. in a fucked up kind of way, I get to look at my abuse as a gift, because now I get to talk about it and I get to help others collapse time and be set free. You know, I don't want people to have to wait 41 years to be like, wow, I'm exactly like her. I did those exact same things. And now once you can get past to the other side, I promise you it's beautiful over here. Like that dark cloud of shame and self-loathing that was over my head for years and years and years is gone now. I look for it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's not there anymore, you know? And so I have this beautiful, you get to have this beautiful canvas where you get to create from once you can get to the other side of all this. So, you know, life happens outside your comfort zone. You get to step into the ugliest, darkest things in your life and look them head on and face them. And you get to see that it isn't as scary as you think it is. Do you mind if I share a quick story?
Yeah, go for it.
So, and this is all about, like, I don't know about you. I don't know what healing process you went through, but I told you I saw 2 different therapists that were different steps in my healing around this. And I remember every time that I'd have to go in there and talk about my dirty little secret, like I had the biggest pit in my stomach that I was going to have to tell somebody, yeah, I was acting out with other little kids. What were they going to think of me? They were going to think I'm a monster.
Yeah.
Right. And the level of compassion and love and kindness that I got from those people was shocking to me. So I want you to know that if you have a secret like this, or if there's anything in your life and you're terrified to talk about it, I promise you, it is going to be a different experience for you than holding on to it. So I encourage you to go talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say that, you know, people who are listening to this episode, if they can relate to what you're saying and they are holding on to something that, you know, they are feeling like that there's this, you know, dirty secret that they've got, what advice would you give them? And you kind of just said that, like, you know, talk about it. But is there anything else that you would? But it's like the demons in your head, isn't it, really? You kind of like overanalyze and...
Yeah, give yourself grace, be kind to yourself. I mean, we're hard on ourselves. And so, and don't let what happened to you be who you are. That's not who you are. You get to take ownership of it. You don't get to take ownership of what happened to you when you were little, but you get to own where you're at now. You don't get to be stuck in victim. Well, woe is me. That happened to me, blah, blah, blah. You get to be like, okay, this happened to me, but right now I'm standing in a space where I get to create whatever I want to create. I get to, you know, I believe 100% am into manifesting. I have a practice every day. I love it. It lights me up,
I do.
you know, and I get to co-create. I don't know if you're not religious or whatever you are, it doesn't matter to me. I'm a Christian. So, you know, I get to co-create my life every day with God and know that I deserve to have that life because I am a lovable, powerful woman. And I didn't used to believe that until I started saying it out loud.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what is there any advice that you would give for, like, when you're, because I think when you go through something where you are trying to get through the other side and you do start going to talk therapy and stuff like that, the subconscious plays tricks on you as well. Because you're like, oh, I'm fine now, I'm talking about it. And then you go to sleep and you wake up with like some hot sweats nightmare thing going on. That's what I was all like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, I've got a therapist and I'm like, it's great. And then I had a lot of legal battles and court hearings that just went on for years, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought I was fine and I wasn't sleeping. And loads of people gave me all these different advice. You know, you speak to someone and you get all these different bits of advice and you've got like 20,000 things to try. But was there anything that worked for you within that part? Because that's like the self-care part for me. That sometimes we can like do our own head in, basically. Fred in the head can play tricks, can't it? So meditation, you said, didn't you, that you did a lot of, or do a lot of?
That is a really loaded question. Nobody's asked me that. So now and you know, the whole reason I'm doing this, as I said, is because I want you to get there faster. Because this was a 41-year journey for me. So I did, you know, the deep work with Landmark, and then I did therapy twice, you know, and it's so funny to me too. You're like, oh, I'm fixed. I did therapy for like 3 years. I'm like, you know, and honestly, until I did this leadership program that I just did, the last 2 years I've been in this community of this leadership program, that's where I finally was like, I got to just let it out and scream it out and deal with it. And so one of the reasons that I wrote the book was because I wanted people to experience what other people's pain has been and how they've gotten through that, you know? So the only thing I can say is talk to people, get in communities where you can talk about it. The more you talk about it, the faster you're going to heal. And I really mean that, like, talk, and if you can get comfortable enough to have a community where you can do that. And there's lots of organizations out there too that you can join, like RAIN, and there's a incest survivor group. I have a Facebook group where there's a community of people where you can come like-minded and things like that. I would just try and surround yourself with people who can give you support and love around that, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. And not kind of like prejudge, but you get to the point where you don't even care that people might prejudge you, I think.
I don't care anymore.
Because I feel like that. I feel like I actually thank my ex-husband because I had a lot of police involvement, and every time I like moved house, there'd be more police involvement. And I used to get really embarrassed when it was happening, you know, like I was thinking, God, my neighbours are going to think I'm a criminal, you know. But then now I look back and I think, actually, who I've become, because I don't really care now. You know, like those kind of things. I used to be really bothered what people thought about me. And of course, if someone was sending me DMs every day on Instagram that they were going to chop me up into 1,000 pieces, I'd probably be a little bit bothered about it.
Yeah, that's not good.
But what I'm saying generally, I'm not bothered about what people think or say or do, you know, hurtful things you kind of question. But
well, but that's why we're here, right? We're here because we've done the work and we've gotten to get past it. And the only way that I know to do that is to talk about it, to be able to talk about it. So find somebody that you can talk to, find a friend that you can. But first of all, I would have you journal, like journal your story, whatever your secret is, write it down as graphic as possible. So graphic that you're like, oh my God, if somebody saw this, and then shred it. Like just write it down one time.
I like that.
And then, yeah. And then you get to find somebody to share it with. I'm going to be doing a whole program starting in June that is taking people through these steps to get through the healing.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you, actually. Like, obviously, the reason that you have done the book is that you want to help other people. And
I do,
shorten this period of time of getting through something. I was going to say, how are you doing it? Tell us about the book, actually, first. Tell us about the book, because that's one way you're doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's called Unshamed, Un-Shamed. And I think we'll have the link. We're doing pre-sale right now for that. And whoever buys the book pre-sale, we're going to do, I'm donating 10% of my proceeds to Operation Underground Railroad, which is for sex trafficking. And then I'm going to do a 6-week book club with whoever does the pre-sale. Okay, so, but you know, in that book, it's 14 different people that are telling stories, and I'm one of them. I share my story. And then I have a section that is, I'm like you, I was a little kid who acted out, and there's these beautiful people who vulnerably are anonymously sharing their stories. I'm not anonymously, I'm putting it out there. Yeah. And then there's a section of forgiveness, because even if you weren't one of the children that acted out, if you were molested or hurt in some way, forgiveness is a huge part of you being able to move on and grow. And so there's a whole section there. And then I have a section where one of my therapists actually did a chapter for me on how to talk to your children so that they're not targeted. You know, because what happens with molesters is they will groom children. So he tells you how to talk to them, what to say to make sure that they're not targets. And then if they've been molested, how do you react? What do you do? Steps to take. And then the last part of the book is really about, you get to have it all. Like you get to have love, you get to be successful, you get to, you know, step into your true power. So I'm really, really proud of it. The way that it came together was such a God gift. And I'm just hoping that it helps lots of people. So.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, because it sounds like you're sharing your story, but you're actually giving people like the toolbox to kind of help them deal with things, especially with the children aspect as well.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't want it to just be me telling a story, because having other contributors, it validates the book more. It's like, oh, she's saying that, you know, she thought she was the only one. Well, she's the only one talking about it. So I have, you know, other people get to share that it was their story too. So
Brilliant. And so what's the program that you're doing in June as well?
it's called A Year You'll Never Forget. And it is right now it's a six month course that will move into a year, but we get to start with getting unhooked from what's holding you back. And then we move into your character and what's changed in your character. And we talk about forgiveness and self-love. Like we do it 3 weeks out of the month. It's like a 45-minute call 3 weeks out of the month that we're going to start in June. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Forgiveness is a really interesting topic, actually, because I used to think, oh, there's no way I could forgive him, whereas now I feel myself like when I see other people discussing this, or maybe like even on social platforms sometimes. There was a lady recently who put something about, I can forgive someone if they apologize. And I thought, I've never had an apology, but I was like, I can forgive, because forgiveness is about me, not about them. I don't know how I think you probably, from what you said, see it in a similar way.
Well, I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter, and actually most of it was for myself. I needed to forgive myself. I didn't love myself until I was 51 years old. And it was all because of all this shame that I carried around from what happened when I was a child. So the forgiveness was for me. I mean, I forgave the person who did it to me, even though I don't remember who it was. I forgave them a long time ago, because I know whoever did it to me, somebody did it to them. It is a vicious cycle, and it's way more common than people can even imagine. So, but yeah, I mean, not forgiving somebody, the saying is like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. Like, and it's hard, right? To be able to get to that place where you can let go of that.
Yeah, definitely. I just think it's important to talk about, because sometimes a lot of people think that they can't forgive, but actually, I think forgiveness is a lot about yourself, because we beat ourselves up with whatever has happened. We blame ourselves for whatever's happened, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it is about forgiveness is just all about us dealing with that, healing part of it. For me.
What was that for you?
What, as in what?
How did healing happen for you? How did forgiveness happen for you with what happened to you?
So for me, it was all about me, because I was beating myself up about that I created the problem.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't create, I didn't create to be strangled and sexually abused and all those horrible things that happened. But because there was obviously a lot of like mental abuse, a lot of it was that he, convinced me at times that I was to blame for certain things. And I think because I always have been, I was the breadwinner. I was always like the career person, and he did do a lot of things like around the house. You know what I mean? It's just like I was sort of manipulated into think that it was all my fault for certain things. When actually now I look back and think, well, what? But then I realised that, I'm not like someone who thinks that all men are like this, because sometimes I hear people who have been through domestic abuse or domestic violence who are really sort of feminist characters that sort of seem to dislike men. And I have a lot of male friends, and I know that not all men are the same,
There's beautiful men out there.
Exactly. So forgiveness is just like, I'm more like, feel sorry for him in some respects, but not so much that I'm going to go and help him. If I'm really honest, like I used to be like that. I used to be though, because I used to be more of a people pleaser type that really did want to just help everybody. But I know that it's his insecurities, and actually forgiveness. I've let that go because I'm free, and I'm like, I've just dealt with the whole healing process. But the healing process is a journey. Things still trigger me now.
Yeah.
Things pop up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm being triggered here, but I'm aware of it.
At least, you're aware of it, now. You're like, oh yeah, that's right.
I don't think you ever like fully healed, are you? But you know how to deal with certain aspects and certain things, Things can just sort of take you back. It's more like a feeling, isn't it? And then you like do all this self-talk. How are you doing that again?
Totally.
But like you, it is about being kind to yourself, isn't it, and looking after yourself and just enjoying life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, you know.
I'm surprised at the level of happiness I have because, you know, being in that space for so many years, it becomes your normal, right? And
Mm.
then when all of this healing happened and I got to step into this beautiful opportunity, which by the way, I would have never chosen for myself. I don't know. Thank you. But you know, I get to create my life from this beautiful space now, you know, and
Mm.
it's a whole new journey for me to have written the book. And now I get to speak. This is one of my favorite things to do is have conversations with you like this. I
Yeah.
love this. So thank you for letting me be part of your opportunity here. Cause it's,
No, it's great to have you on the show, and it's great to just meet you in general, to be fair. So what I was going to ask you is, like, people might be listening to this going, "Oh my God, this Jill lady is amazing. I'm loving her story, and I want to get the book and all this kind of stuff." Like, how do people? You must be on all the socials. Like, how do people reach out or find out more info about you?
yeah, thank you. We just changed my Insta handle because I was Jill the wine girl because I have a wine business. And so we'll have, can I get you the links? I think it's just Jill E. Schultz $ is
Yeah.
my new Instagram.
We will have it also for people that are watching us on YouTube. Hello,
Yeah.
you'll be able to see in the comment section all of Jill's details of the book, how to reach out to her and all that kind of stuff. But is there a particular place that you hang out more than others, or are you pretty?
I'm on them all. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Actually, I'm not on them all. I don't TikTok. I'm not talking, but yeah, Jill E. Schultz $ is my Instagram. And then it's probably Jill Schultz I have a couple of pages on Facebook. I do. Oh, my Facebook page is called Living Unashamed.
Oh,
So
no.
you can join my Facebook group there. And I would love it if you join my Facebook group there, but it's un-shamed, not unashamed, but we made up a word, unshamed.
Yeah.
Living
Yeah.
un-
I
so
might
that
go myself, actually. I might come and find you.
yeah, thank you. Please.
So if you are watching us on YouTube, you'll see it in the show notes. If you're watching us, if you're listening to us on iTunes or any of the podcasting channels, it'll be in the show notes, all of Jill's details. And I'm sure everybody that's listening will probably want to come and check you out and find out more, because you've got a real powerful story there. It's just great to meet you and connect with you. If I can help you in any way, and your book comes out, if you know, because I'm a bit of an Amazon whiz, if there's anything that I can help you with around sort of SEO and keywords, then definitely reach out to me. I always ask, and in fact, when we did the birthday episode, we chopped and edited the episode where we put the answers to this question back to back. But I always ask the same question to everybody that comes on the show.
Okay, I'm nervous.
And I normally give everybody a warning of the question, but we were getting on so much at the beginning, I forgot. Don't worry, it's not complicated.
Okay.
So Jill, what does freedom mean to you?
Secrets, saying them out loud.
Yeah, I like that. That. And I think, because it's funny, if someone asked me that question a few years ago, I definitely would have said something different than I do now. You know, I think we change the answer to that question as we mature and grow on our journey. Because years ago, it'd have been just about making money, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I love asking that question because it means different things to different people. So
Well, when you ask that, so I do a lot of coaching. I pay for coaching. Find a coach, pay for coaching. It's vital. Like, you will collapse time in your life. I believe in spending money for opportunities. So in one of my coaching programs, when this was all first coming to a head, and I was like, oh shit, this is what I get to do. Yay. He's like, what does that feel like to you? And I said, I get to help set people free. By sharing my story, I get to help set people free. So I love that your podcast has freedom in it. I love it.
Yeah. No, thanks. Because I did keep toying with the idea, because I kept thinking, I don't want people to think it's all about, you know, money and freedom. Yeah. We see a lot of that, don't we, online? But it just kept resonating, and I was like, no, I need freedom in it, because I've still got to do my skydive at the Palm in Dubai, because that's my goal. But I've still not been to Dubai. I've been to Singapore, been to China with like a lot of the stuff I do with work, but
I will not be doing that with you.
I've been to Dubai airport, but I've never actually been to Dubai. I'm like, God, how come I've not been there?
Why do you want to skydive in Dubai?
Because in the UK, it's just going to be like a green field. In Oxford, it's just not going to do. It's not just.
You'd rather do it with dust?
I googled where are the best places to do it, and I think it came up as number 1 or number 2 because of the palm. When you're going down,
Okay.
it looks amazing.
Oh,
And also sometimes when you do it, you've got to have the right wind and all that kind of thing. And I think in the UK, our weather is just so up and down.
okay. So, have you skydived before?
No, never.
Okay, so you want to go big or go home?
Yes, definitely.
I love it.
The
reason you're going to do it good.
I want to do it.
Well.
I always said to myself, once everything is over, because for ages I was stuck in my life and I knew I needed to leave. But it wasn't just about running away. It was like, I needed to sort lots of things out, the children, finances, all this kind of stuff. And I wanted it to be a peaceful split, ridiculously. And then that never was ever going to happen. So I was like for ages trying to be diplomatic and try and make sure that we could split amicably. It wasn't ever going to happen. So
that was your people pleaser.
Yeah, it was so nice. And so I was always sort of like looking when I finally did make that step, it was all at the end. I was like, when I was going through a lot of the nightmare, I was like, because it was the leaving that was worse than the things that were actually happening in the relationship. So for me, it was like, at the end of this, when all the court battles is over, I am going to skydive out of a plane. So my last court hearing was in 2020. Which isn't that long ago, when it was like from 2015, is it?
Right. Well, we need to get you on a plane, girl. You're 3 years now.
So there's going to be something there. I'm going to have to maybe have the podcast logo as I'm jumping out.
I want you to commit to a date right now. Like share and declare.
I wanted to do it in October.
Then let's do it in October.
Because October is a good time to go to Dubai with the weather. It gets really hot in the summer.
Yeah.
I think October to January is a good time, but I can't do December and January.
Then let's commit to October. Let's get it on paper, sister.
Now I've got it on the podcast. Now it's all live. So yeah. Okay.
We get to do that for you.
Thanks, Jill. You've made me commit now.
That's self-care, right? You get to do that for you. That's huge. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I kind of did mean to put you on the spot. Yeah, I'm about massive growth quickly. So
yeah, absolutely. No, cheers for doing that. But yeah, freedom is about lots of different things, but finding that peace, isn't it? It's finding that peace and being free from the thread in the head, as I call it.
Well, I think too, once you can have the freedom of your mind, that's when you're able to open the floodgates for abundance, because then you feel like you're worthy of it. Yeah,
definitely. It's been great chatting to you. I feel like we could chat for like hours.
Forever. This will be a 24-hour podcast.
If you're ever in the UK, you must definitely reach out to me, and we'll go for lunch or dinner or a glass of wine or whatever. And stay in touch.
And the same in San Diego. I have plenty of room.
Yeah, I need to do is it the West Coast? It is West Coast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely need to do that. I've only done Vegas and California, so definitely need to do that, all San Diego and San Francisco and stuff. So
you let me know.
Yeah, will do.
I love doing these because you make fast friends very quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the show. It's been great to have you. And everybody that's listening, reach out to Jill. Go and check out her book. It's on pre-order now. Is that right?
Pre-order, yep.
Pre-order now. So make sure you get your copy now, ready for the summer, so that you can read all that goodness. And thanks for just sharing being vulnerable and sharing your journey. It's really good to have you be so vulnerable and share everything with my listeners. Thank you for coming on.
It's been my pleasure, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.